What is Elusive Last and why should you care? First of all, Elusive Last is a pretty damn cool game. Roleplay.
Kill.
Sometimes roleplay.
Dear God. Alright, if I had internet, maybe this would be a lot easier. Basically. Ivan is basically a man with a mustache.
Oh my god.
Ivan is basically a man with a mustache. He had spent 2 years in prison for rallying the men in order to make the place he was in a better place.
Then he was behind bars. Basically, his world was shattered, his friend died, right? So, he became evil, yeah.
You get that?
Good!
So, as we all know, Ivan spent 2 years in jail, where he then created a master plan to escape. After escaping, he went right back to using his street smarts to get money off of people, so he could then pay a fare for a boat to another place. This is sort of a pit stop, although you can see the way Ivan acts amongst people. He finds the most important person in the room, and then he finds a way to get on good terms with them, or steal from them. Sometimes both, but that's foreshadowing. After he got on good terms with the captain, some people decided they were going to be troublemakers, and Ivan chose his true colors. He stood right by the captain's side, and after being informed that someone was in the hull of his ship digging through the captain's crate, he took that as an opportunity to skin the thief alive. I mean, he would've, if that got him any closer to the captain. Though, turns out, in the end, all you have to do is get the captain drunk as and then throw him overboard and take everything he owns. It's a cruel world. But the money...
You're so upset with me, but I'm so obsessed with you. I'm fucking crazy, I don't wanna damage you. But don't fucking test me, my mental's unsteady. Don't know myself, yeah, just like Rexy.
After arriving at the ship's final destination, he had used the drunken captain's information to join one of the 3 major factions that were part of the town he was in. He found himself with 30 notes, the world's currency, and a new stolen armor. Ivan then introduced himself to the leader of the faction and was hired as the sleeksmith. His job would be selling information and overall just being very knowledgeable about things, partly because of his past and mostly because of his sources of information. After spending a night with the faction, he found himself alone with a few members in the morning. The son of the leader, also nicknamed the Lesser, Amir, walked up to him and showed him a crumpled note. Turns out the leader he had talked to just the day before had left the town. So as the leader's son, it was basically his responsibility to take care of the people in need. Because if you didn't already know, the Logos are one of the 3 major factions. They have a leader at the top that wants the best for everybody at the bottom. He wants to make the lower part of town livable and free of poverty, violence, and theft. Similar to Ivan, but in a genuine way that won't end with death and destruction, as you'll see. But after the leader's disappearance, they first had to regroup and figure out what to do. So they went on a search to find the remaining team members, which they were barely able to find. However, they couldn't find any of their mercenaries. They couldn't even find the strongest leader of their mercenary division either. But they were able to find the Rat Tooth, the Butcher, and new comrades. For your information, the Rat Tooth is basically a merchant that can smuggle and import wares from overseas. The Butcher is something like an ancient surgeon, however, capable of pretty good medicine and some pretty grueling experiments on injured people in the name of science. After gathering everybody up, however, Ivan immediately returned to his old ways and found a way to rally every single man, woman, soldier, whatever, and spit some stone cold lies. He told them that there was going to be a major food shortage coming up, and that the nobles were here to ruin Lowtown, and he wanted to make some blood boil. He was getting everybody ready for some pretty intense action that he was planning in order to make himself rich and Lowtown better. His ways of improving the space he's in are obviously pretty flawed, as he's planning a civil war and a coup in order to improve living conditions. But obviously his little gathering and talk of defiance wouldn't slip by the guards. They obviously wanted to listen in on the conversation coming in from the man standing on top of a barrel preaching that the nobles were going to ruin all they cared for. So his talk of defiance and his standing as a perfect, strong leader turned into him being suddenly a nervous wreck as if presenting something to a class, and switching subjects from nobles ruining town to, oh, isn't the church great for feeding us, and oh, we must help the church. Oh, my merchant buddy, why don't you help imports and exports for the church so everybody can eat? AKA, he gave away vital information and the jobs of the people in the Logos to the faction of the nobles, aka the guards that opposed them. After finishing up this speech, some days would pass, and Ivan, together with the Lesser and the Rat-Tooth, had gathered up quite the following. They had hired a lot of mercenaries to prepare for their coup. Their plan was to first take care of all the guards one by one, dragging them into alleyways where they would be met with the 15 versus 1 and then break into the castle. This wouldn't go as planned, however, as one of the mercenaries they had hired had dealings with the Viscount, the king, and he hadn't paid his debt. Therefore, he was being publicly executed, and his friends jumped in to help. I don't think I have to elaborate what happens when you try to kill 6 trained men at arms alone to save your friend. So I'm just gonna leave it here and say that we lost 4 mercenaries, and Ivan was definitely pissed. So after he spent a long time and lots of money to train, feed, and arm the people in his ranks, he lost 4 of them instantly due to terrible leadership and discipline on their part. Is Ivan and the squad going to jump kick the kingdom and restore Lowtown to its original beauty? Or is he and all the others going to suffer the same fate at the hands of the nobles? Subscribe if you actually care.